Welcome back, everyone. As you probably guessed from the title, we are going over a case out of New York, and the NRA is involved, and there's a whole bunch of nonsense that has happened. This originally took place back in 2018, and it has just now, as when I'm recording this anyway, today been ruled on by the Supreme Court. So you can see how slow the wheels of justice in America turn, which we will get into in the later part of the video as well. But basically, this is not just a Second Amendment case. It absolutely is a Second Amendment case, as you will see here in a second. But it's also a First Amendment case, and I think it's going to have pretty wide reaching effects. Now, I should note that the Supreme Court ruled on this case 9-0. So even the lefty judges agreed on the new standard that this case sets in terms of legal precedents, which is interesting as we go forward, because I think there's some cases in the queue that I think, due to politics, these liberal judges probably won't vote the same way on, but they're kind of hamstringing themselves by the precedents they set themselves. So what happened? Well, back in 2018, New York, of course, run by Democrats, they created this new financial division, a regulatory division, and they sent out these threat letters. So basically what I'm going to do here is I'm just going to read it from the case so that way I don't mess up the actual facts. But it's pretty simple. They sent out some threat letters warning companies not to do business with anybody who's pro-gun, and including the NRA and other organizations. So on April 19th, Vullo, who was the head of a financial regulatory division in New York, issued letters entitled Guidance on Risk Management Relating to the NRA and Similar Gun Promotional Organizations. In the guidance letters, Vullo encouraged DFS, which was the organization that she was running, regulated entities to continue evaluating and managing the risks, including reputational risks that may arise from their dealings with the NRA or similar gun promotion organizations. Review any relationships they have with the NRA or similar gun promotion organizations, and to take prompt actions to manage these risks and promote public health and safety. Vullo and Governor Cuomo also issued a joint press release echoing many of the letter statements and urging all insurance companies and banks doing business in New York to join those that have already discontinued their arrangements with the NRA. And it goes on beyond that. But as you can see there, they were not just targeting the NRA, but all other similar pro-gun promoting organizations and companies. So obviously gun manufacturers as well. And basically what the NRA said, and then I should also note that Gun Owners of America came on after this, but the NRA for once did something themselves. It probably was because they were one of the primary targets, but they took action on their own and filed this lawsuit. Made it up to the Supreme Court, like we said. It's been decided on, the NRA has won. But what they were saying is that those letters and that press conference was a threat, even if it wasn't directed specifically like, hey, we are threatening you. Just the fact that they were doing what they were doing, saying what they were saying to companies, whether it be banks, insurance companies, etc., do not work with these people, that was a threat and under a threat of force because it comes from government, right? Government has a monopoly on legal force in America, unfortunately, and when it comes to violence especially. But generally speaking, in most things, that really is their tool that they like to use, force and coercion. So what did the Supreme Court have to say about this? Well, let's check it out. So before we actually get into the text of the ruling, I should note a couple things. Number one, I'm just going to read 3 little snippets of it. So the video here on YouTube and Rumble should be relatively short. However, today, as of when I'm filming this, not only did this ruling drop, but of course, Trump was just convicted. I'd imagine when this video goes out, it may be a day or two later. But we are going to head over to Mug Club after this video. And for folks that don't know, Mug Club is a place where content creators can create censorship-free content, which is important, especially considering the First Amendment stuff we're talking about in this video. But I'll be headed over there and discussing Trump's conviction, things that could happen, and what we expect to see, asking you guys some questions over there as well for the Mug Club members to get your response as to what you guys think. If you guys are interested, there should be a code here on your screen that will get you guys a free month of Mug Club membership. It's not just myself over there. Obviously, it's Steven Crowder, Alex Jones, the Hodge twins, Nick DiPaolo, Brian Callen, probably somebody else I'm forgetting, but other creators as well, posting exclusive content over there. So with that, let's check out the first excerpt that we saw here from this ruling. The begin by saying the court explained that the First Amendment prohibits government officials from relying on the threat of invoking legal sanctions and other means of coercion to achieve the suppression of disfavored speech. Although the commission lacked the power to apply formal legal sanctions, the distributor reasonably understood the commission to threaten adverse action, and thus the distributor's compliance with the commission's directive was not voluntary. That would be correct. That is how I would interpret it as well if I was a bank or insurance company or any other company dealing with pro-gun organizations in New York after those directives. And the decision goes on to say, while a government official can share her views freely and criticize particular beliefs in the hopes of persuading others, she may not use the power of her office to punish or suppress disfavored expression. And what they're saying there is that a reasonable person, going back to the previous little excerpt that we talked about, would view these as threats. There's pretty darn clear that they are threats, and a reasonable person would view it as such, and that in this case the ruling is saying that a government official cannot do that as a government official. They can take positions on whatever, but if they start threatening to use legal force, then that is not allowed under this decision. And the next part I'm about to read is probably the most important part of the entire ruling because it sets a new legal standard for similar cases that are going to be heard at the lower court levels as well as the Supreme Court. So for folks who are longtime viewers here, you guys are familiar with the Bruin decision. Basically, it said that any anti-gun law has to prove that it is consistent with the text, history, and tradition of the Second Amendment as it was written in 1791. That is like the new legal standard that all gun laws are judged by in America. So what this does right here, what I'm about to read to you, it's the new standard as well for this type of threatening speech from government entities. So it says, to state a claim that the government violated the First Amendment through coercion of a third party, a plaintiff must plausibly allege conduct that, viewed in context, could be reasonably understood to convey a threat of adverse government action in order to punish or suppress speech. Here, the NRA plausibly alleged that Vullo violated the First Amendment by coercing DFS regulated entities into disassociating with the NRA in order to punish or suppress gun promotion advocacy. So with that, that is the new standard, right? It is to be, when viewed in context, convey adverse government action to punish or suppress. That is what all these cases are going to be coming up against in the future. And I think what that's going to apply to is if you look at all the cases that are currently in front of the court by social media companies, right? How many times have we seen in Twitter files government officials doing exactly this to social media companies, and then social media companies doing exactly this to either businesses, content creators, whatever the case may be? I mean, this is very clear that these types of things happened. Additionally, if you look back as to what went on during the Kung Flu pandemic, that absolutely, there's a lot of evidence of very similar things happening by all the big social media giants to both people on different platforms as well as in different areas of public life. So that is, it should be interesting to see how it plays out. If you guys have any thoughts on that, definitely let us know down below in the comments. And with that, guys, if you like this type of video, definitely hit the subscribe button. We typically don't go so much First Amendment. We typically lean a little Second Amendment. This one here was a little bit of a hybrid. If you've hit the subscribe button though, and you're not seeing 2 to 4 videos a week, first, make sure you're following me on all my social media accounts, particularly the non-Meta ones. It's like we said, I've been censored heavily on Meta, and then hopefully this case might help save me over there. But this case, you know, when it dropped this morning, I shared it out first on all my social media. So if you follow me on social media, you guys are already aware of it. So definitely check that out first. And then if you've done that, you subscribed, you hit the notification bell on YouTube, and you're not seeing 2 to 4 videos a week here on the channel, sign up for the email at the website here on your screen. This email goes out once a month, and it has all the videos since the previous month's email went out. So that way there's no big tech giant censoring your eyes from my content. Additionally, or lastly, I should say, we also have a daily deals email. So it contains 8 of the best deals on the internet that we find on that particular day. Deals on things like guns, ammo, optics, accessories, magazines, whatever, for outdoors and shooting, sometimes survival and prepping as well. Sneak in there deals like that. But if it is in the email on that particular day, it's the cheapest I know of anywhere on the internet because I've already done the price comparisons for you. So hopefully it saves you some time as well as some money. And with that, we're going to head over to Mug Club and discuss what is going on with former President Trump. And I look forward to seeing everybody over on Mug Club for the discussion.